Welcome to Storytelling. This week's guest is the CEO and co-founder of Gusto Snacks, an award-winning brand dedicated to reducing food waste while enhancing consumer well-being. Despite securing partnerships with major retailers like Selfridges and WH Smith, his journey has come with challenges, most notably seeing his concept replicated by a major retailer. With a background in product design and a decade of experience in marketing and brand building, he has navigated the highs and lows of entrepreneurship with resilience and innovation. Today we dive into his story, the lessons he's learned, and the realities of protecting your ideas in the industry. Please welcome Giuseppe Baidoo. Hello, Giuseppe, and welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Debbie. Thank you for having me.
Giuseppe, you had an incredible idea, one that clearly had a lot of potential. Can you take us back to where it all started? What inspired you to create this product in the first place?
So, Gusto Snacks was born out of the fact that I have passion for sustainability, and I wanted to create something that was good for the planet, but also healthy and good for people. All started back when I was in Italy. I used to do my national service, and during that time, during my national service, instead of choosing to go and work for the military, I decided to work for charities instead. And during that time that I was serving my communities, we would go to supermarkets and also to farmers to get food that would have otherwise been wasted. So from there, we'll take them to families in need. And that sort of inspired me to wanting to do something in the future for myself. So when I got to the UK and I had the opportunity to start a business, that was the first thing I started researching about on how to reduce food waste and how to build a business that is ethical, sustainable, and good for people.
So did you know or have an inkling that you would stay within the food industry? Was that your passion at the time?
To be honest, I was just looking for a job when I came to the UK. It was very strange the way things happened in the sense that I didn't expect to even start a business. I was in university doing my final year presentation, and someone walks in and they saw my presentation about food waste because initially I had a background in product design. So the idea was I will create this presentation to showcase in my final year of university to really just get a job because there was industry experts that were coming in and to look at the students' works. So I did this amazing presentation. At the time, I wasn't great at talking. I'm someone who is very introvert. But when it comes to presentation, I will put everything in that presentation. As they say, images speak louder than words. So that was my motto really at the time. And I did this amazing work. This person walks in and asked, "Oh, who is this person? And who did this? Who did that?" And they pointed him at me. He came to me and said, "Is this a business you have already started?" And I said, "Actually, no, it's a presentation. I'm looking for a job." And he's like, "Look, wait a minute. This is an amazing idea." And at the time, it was the idea of turning fruits that would have otherwise been wasted into drinks.
Hmm.
And he was like, "Oh, let's have a chat. I'm happy to take you into an accelerator where I can help you and teach you how to set up a business." And that is where really the entrepreneur inspiration and everything started and the journey started really. So he taught me a lot in that period. I would say about 6 months period around 2016. He taught me so much, but he wasn't in the food industry. So I had to also do a bit of research and understand how I was going to launch the product. So that is where really everything kicked in.
So what happened to that business? Because that wasn't Gusto, that was something else that you
Ooze
started off
drinks.
with.
Yeah. Yeah. The business was called Ooze Drinks. And I would say when I started Ooze Drink was great, but at the same time, because it was my first business, although I had a bit of guidance, I wasn't familiar with the food industry. And also as an entrepreneur, first time entrepreneur, I did so many mistakes. For example, I had other two co-founders, but we didn't have honest conversation in terms of who is who in the business, who's gonna lead, what values we all bring into the business. And that at some point started catching up because when issues came in the business, at some point we started fighting, unfortunately. And we broke up from the business and I started doing everything by myself. At some point, unfortunately, money ran out because it happens in business. But because I didn't have any strategy in place, I didn't know how to handle the situation. So unfortunately, in 2018, I had to say, okay, this is not working anymore. Let me just close down the business. It was a tough time in a sense that I had raised about 30,000 pounds in grants to build a business until a certain point. And then I had conversation with some of the supermarkets who wanted the product. For example, Sainsbury's, I met their buyer team. They loved the product, but they wanted an extended shelf life. And I didn't have any funds to be able to go and do that. So it was tough because for me, I have reached this point and the business was like my baby. And at some point, closing it down like that, it brought in so many memories in terms of me failing at doing modeling in Italy, me failing at playing semi-professional basketball. All of those failing moments just came back to me, and I went a bit into depression. It was a very tough time. But that's why it's so good to have a supporting system around you when you are building a business. And my family was so supportive at the time. My older sister, especially, she always checking on me and she's Giuseppe, look, because we are Christians, we have a Christian background. So it's hey, God didn't bring you this far just to bring you this far. You have learned so much. And at the end of the day, even if you have failed multiple times, you are not the same man you were before. You have learned so much. So either you use this as an opportunity to teach others, or you use this as an opportunity to restart something, but you know, you are much more experienced now, so it's going to be different. And I think that gave me the spark that I needed to again restart another business, which is Gusto Snacks. Mm.
So that's quite an amazing journey, and one that where you've had to show a lot of resilience to actually come from that.
Mhm.
And you mentioned a really good example of where failure isn't everything because we learn a lot from those failures.
Yeah.
And you talked a bit about not becoming a semi-professional basketball player, for example. Can you
Mhm.
tell us a bit about that and how that ties into this as well?
Yeah. So in Italy, unfortunately for ethnic minorities, you don't have many opportunities when it comes to career progression. So the only thing I saw as a way for me to, in a sense of doing something great for myself, was to get into sports and into modeling, hoping to be able to make it on that path. But in 2008, unfortunately, modeling came to an end. I had a bit of an issue in the industry in terms of not wanting to do certain shoots or videos. And when you do that, some of the agencies just cut you off because they just want people who will just listen and just do. It's a tough industry. But basketball, I was doing quite well. I was playing semi-professional, and my aim was to become completely full-time professional basketball player. But then around 2011 in Italy, there was the crisis, and I wasn't getting paid much. So my mom was like, Giuseppe, look, at the end of the day, you are very young, and instead of staying here in Italy, I don't think there is future for you here. You could at least go to the UK. She had some friends in the UK that were telling her about their kids doing well in school and university and doing other things on the side. So my mom was like, Giuseppe, just go there and try and at least continue your studies, go to university, and then you can also try and find another basketball team down there. And then don't just put your eggs in one basket. Initially, was the idea of traveling to a different country was quite difficult because I've lived in Italy all my life. I didn't know anywhere else, but I still took the bold step. And when I came to the UK, it was eye-opening. I was shocked because I've never seen black people, for example, driving buses, ethnic minorities working in banks. In Italy, that didn't exist there. It wasn't as diverse as the UK. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I found gold here. I have the opportunity to really progress. But I didn't also expect to take that long to be able to fit into the UK culture in a sense that, yeah, it was a culture shock, completely different, a different system. I didn't understand the language. Even when people said in it, I didn't know what was that. It was tough for me. Even understanding the accent, I could understand English. Again, I thought I knew how to speak English in Italy, but when I came here, I was like, man, that wasn't the right English we were speaking in Italy. I spent about 6 months trying to look for a job. It was very difficult. I didn't find jobs, and the person I was living with kicked me out because they were like, "Look, I didn't expect us for you not to have a job for this long and this and that." Almost became homeless, and thankfully there was someone I knew in the community because a church I was going to, someone that was there just said, you know what, I'm gonna help you out, although I'm not prepared to take someone else in my house, but I will still support you and let's try and find you a job. Thankfully, during that period, after 3 weeks, I was able to nail my first warehouse job, and that is where things really started falling in place. And I started doing warehouse work, started going to university, but unfortunately, I couldn't continue basketball as well because in the UK, I realized that basketball was not as big as in Italy, and I didn't have any sponsor to support me to go to training. So I had to support myself. And if I'm working, how am I going to training as well? So that is when I had to make the hard decision to say, okay, I guess it's the end now. Let me just focus on studies and working really. Yeah.
So you mentioned twice now how much your Christian faith has pulled you through all your various experiences,
Mhm.
not just during that time, but also afterwards as well. Just explain to everyone how important that is for you.
Yeah. For me, God is really important. I grew in a Christian home. My parents, they were amazing parents in the sense that they did everything they could for us. Obviously, as kids, you always want something, always get it. But as I always said, we didn't get what we wanted, but they always gave us what we needed. And one of the things they gave us was believing in God. And they were pastors as well. They have a church in Italy. And I grew up in church playing drums and the piano. My faith in God is so much. I always put God first. And I think when I get into those situations that it's hard, those tough situations, I always rely on God. You are a Christian, God has not left you. That is, the spark I needed just to remember that God is always by my side.
So, how did the idea for Gusto come about?
So Gusto, once I got to the point where I've closed down the company, now my sister has given me this spark that I needed. I was backed and revived mentally. I took about 1 month to just work with a bit of startups in the food industry, giving them advice, supporting them. And because I had a background in product design and branding, I decided to support many of the startups and not only supporting them with their design and branding, but also giving them business support. And that was great because that was an added skill I had from my previous business. And then after a month, the entrepreneur spirit was just calling me. You haven't finished yet. So I said, hey, let me go back for round two. But this time, round two was going to be different. I have the experience, I have the skills, I know what to do and what not to do. And also, because I split with my business partner, I actually spend a bit of time to try and understand why that happened.
Mm.
And I did a check on my own self as well. It's not just their fault. What is about me as well that need to be improved? And I realized that I have some strengths and I have some weaknesses. So my weakness is I'm not great in sales, great in finance with numbers. I'm not great at that. But I'm very strong in marketing, design, branding, and products. So I need the right people around me for this to work. That is when my business partner started talking. My business partner is also Italian Ghanaian. He used to work in the Tesco warehouse with me. We used to do night shift and we will go to school, university during the day. So I knew that he had that drive. He was somebody who was aiming to be somebody. He was looking to do something. And I knew that he would be the right person for me because we had similar backgrounds. We all came here, started from zero, and we're all looking to do something great for ourselves. So when we had the chat, he at the time was going through certain difficulties and he called me. He's like, Giuseppe, I saw you are doing this who's drinks, amazing things online. Can you please pick me up, help me? I want to learn from you. I don't even want to join the business. I want to just learn as a mentor. I'm like, Claudio, listen, I've closed this business like a
Mm.
month ago. And he's like, oh, wow. So what is next for you? And I said, look, let's meet up. I also want to understand what you are doing now, just to really assess if he would have been the right person to work with. Because, like I said, when I had my previous co-partner, we didn't really have certain conversations. We didn't really understand the values that we all bring in. This time, I wanted to be sure that if I was going to work with someone, they have to bring in a certain value that I don't have. When we met, he told me at the time he works as a salesperson. I said, fantastic. And he's someone who is very outspoken. I said, this is the person I need, someone who will go out there, will be speaking with people, sell the products. And then I told him about the next project, which is Gusto Snacks. But at the time, I didn't even have a name. I just told him it's a dried fruit crepes brand. And then because I wanted him to feel part of the journey, because I've already designed the brand, the packaging, I already had the vision, but I wanted him to also really feel part of everything that we were doing so that he would be very passionate about it. And I asked him, how would you call the business? And he went back a few days. He sent to me a message. He said, I think we should call it Gusto Snack. And I said, why? And we are saving foods from going to waste. In Italian, gusto means taste. So that's just a way to tell people to taste the product. And I said, okay, that looks fantastic. Let's go with it. And the fact that I did that, he really sparked something in Claudio. Claudio is so passionate as me. and we all bring different values into the business. He go out there, he speaks to people. He represents the business as much as I represent it as well. That is where Gusto Snack started. And now, as a business, we have launched in WH Smith, Selfridges. We have launched in over 50 offices across the UK, such as Google, Bloomberg, many of the banks out there, and also in many of the airports. We were able to build a dream team for the brand. And then Claudio also brought in a friend of his who takes care of finance. And he's purely finance. So he keeps us in check. So me and Claudio at times will be flying with ideas and just going out there creating and as entrepreneurs. But you always need that person that will just say, hey guys, we have this amount of money remaining in the bank. Let's have a structure around it. And this person really brought that corporate structure in the business, really.
You created this product, you got it out to lots of different retailers. So tell me about the moment when you discovered that a health food chain who you were originally talking to had launched a similar product, and how did you find that out?
Yeah, so we had a meeting with, I'll mention the name because everybody knows it right now. We had a meeting with Orlando Barrett, and I've always shopped in Orlando Barrett. So for me, to have my products in there, it was something big, but it was very exciting for me to see that. And we did everything we could to have at least get in conversation with the buyers. So in 2022, we had applied for a trade show called Bread and Jam. And on that trade show, you will put in your application, and the supermarkets who are interested will call you to have a chat with them. So if you are selected, for sure that the supermarkets are interested because it's not a random thing. They actually do a selection process. So we paid, did our application, and Orlando Barra selected us. So we were very excited. So we go into the meeting, and when we went to the meeting, we don't meet the buyer, but it was a product developer. And we are like, okay, what is going on? Because the product developer is someone who creates new products for a company, not the buyer who make decision on which products and brands goes on shelf. But this person at the meeting was like, oh, I will give your product to the right person once I go back into my office. And she was asking questions like, are you willing to do white labeling? Are you willing to give us your product, but we will put our own brand on it? So this is like a partnership, but we thought it wouldn't make sense for us as a new brand because as a new brand, we want everybody to know about us. If
Mhm.
it's Holland and Barrett who have their own logo on our product, people will be eating our product and they wouldn't know it's Gusto. They will always associate it to Holland and Barrett. So we refused, and the person was like, okay, it's fine. I will give your product to the right person. She tested it and she loved it. And she said, we'll get in touch. So she gave us her contact. Once we went back and tried to contact them, we didn't hear anything for about 3 months. We didn't hear anything. And then someone just appeared from nowhere saying, hello, guys. We didn't receive any of your products. I didn't see them in the office. And then my business partner actually tagged the lady that we met at the event and was asking her in the email, oh, she's the one we met. I believe she will be able to guide you on where she put the product. This person never replied. So the new person that we're talking to told us to bring in new samples. And we're like, okay, this sounds very strange right now because you have already taken first sample. You said that you don't know where they are, and now you want another batch of samples. So we made a decision this time to drive all the way from London to the north of the UK around Birmingham, around 2, 3, almost 3 hours where the office is. And we delivered ourselves in person because we didn't want the product to be lost. And when we did that, they then came back this time saying they have received the products. We were like, okay, the way we were thinking at the time, we felt like something was wrong. But because they came back, we all relaxed and said, okay, I guess this time they have received the product, and they came back saying, let's have a meeting. So we had the meeting, we discussed about how we're going to launch in their stores, marketing budget, and so on. And then they disappeared again. We didn't hear from them for around this time. That was January 2023 to August 2023, nothing. And then we kept on sending emails. Every week we would send 1 or 2 emails. And oh, we're still waiting for your response. We are ready. Because obviously we were prepared. We are prepared to launch Orlando Barrett. We are prepared in production as well. And at some point, I guess someone replied saying that, oh, they have decided to do their own version of our products and that they are not willing to collaborate anymore. I was a bit shocked because the way we had the conversations, you made us really think, and the way we gave you all our samples and we had all this conversation, you made us think we were gonna launch into your stores just for you to come back and say you're doing your own version. And we went back to our investors and communicated this, and everybody was very disappointed because some of the investors invested in us based on the fact that they knew that we were having conversation with Orlando Barrett. So for me to go back and give them the bad news was a bit of a shock because, okay, you didn't get Orlando Barrett. On top of that, they have a similar product
Mm.
in the market. You have lost twice. So as the CEO of the company, I was just sitting down, like I was like, I can't just sit down and look so bad in front of these investors because in the future we want them to keep investing in us as we're going forward. And just for us to give up, it looks too bad at the moment. Okay, I'm going to use this as a marketing campaign because this is something that happens in the industry quite often. Companies, they will just take you through this conversation, make you think that they're going to stock you, and then they take samples and make their own version. Or another thing they do is they will launch you into their supermarket, use you as a test to see if their customers love your product. And then once they see that there is traction, they will create their own copy
Mm.
and then just drive you out from the supermarket. So I said, okay, if this is the case, then I'm going to do a marketing campaign with this. So I went to buy a thief costume, and I wrote on the cardboard, snacks so yummy. They copied it in a hurry. And I went in front of their shops and I bought the copied version, took our own original version, and then sampled it to their customers. And the idea was to get their customers to choose which one was the best. And over 200 people voted for Gusto Snacks, and only two voted for Orlando Barrett. And what I wanted to do with this initially was to send it to Orlando Barrett and tell them, look, although you have your copied version, but our product is still the best, so stock us.
Mm.
So I didn't take the opportunity to shame Orlando Barrett or to fight with them. They are a big company. My own aim was to use this as an opportunity to prove a point that our product is still the best, so we deserve the shelf.
Mm.
And then I decided to take it further to involve even more people. And I shared it on social media and then asked people to go and get some of our products, try Land and Barrett's products, and vote for which one is the best. But because I was so honest with it and I shared everything, the journey, what happened, it exploded on on social
Mhm.
media.
Mhm.
On TikTok, it went viral on LinkedIn. It even went crazier. because right now I think it's 64,000 likes on the post.
Yeah.
We have had, like, in these 2 weeks, it's been unbelievable in a sense that so many sales. I think in these 2 weeks we have sold over £6,000 worth of snacks. Our Amazon website, all of it went. We sold out on our website. We had to restock immediately. A lot of international opportunities. Nolan and Barrett never came back because I think they were just doing damage control.
Mm.
People were just upset more than anything. And people also were telling us not to launch into their stores because if a supermarket can do such thing to you, then you shouldn't trust them in the first place. So many other supermarkets, even Waitrose reached out, and that was amazing for us because we realized that, okay, there is so many other opportunities out there instead of us just forcing ourselves into Holland and Barrett, which in the first place didn't want to stock our products.
Mm.
We may as well use this opportunity to take advantage of what is around us. So yeah, it's been so amazing for us, and that actually proved the point that whatever happens around you, when a door closes, you just have to use creativity really to open another one. It's never the end. So I'm glad actually I proved the point because so many people out there even reached out to me that this is an amazing way of doing things because they have gone through the same thing. I was even shocked that my experience was not even the worst. Some people have
Mm.
lost like 1 million. So unbelievable stories about all of these supermarkets. But I'm glad that I've been able to inspire other entrepreneurs to take steps.
What advice would you give to other entrepreneurs who may worry about their ideas being stolen?
Yeah, I would say it's something that happens often, unfortunately, because food is not something you can really trademark fully. I would say always when you have a food product, especially, and going to have this conversation, always get an NDA signed. At least that is a little cover you have. And don't be scared to go out there. These things happen, but at the same time, like I did, you can always use a creative way to spin things around. Keep being bold, keep being yourself, but always at least try and protect yourself, at least with an NDA, just to be on the safe side.
So, what is the future for Gusto Snacks?
So, at Gusto Snacks, we want to be one of I would say even the leading brand and dry fruits market or in the snack market, ethical snack market. We want to keep reducing food waste. We have saved over 70,000 units of food from going to waste so far, and we are aiming to even do bigger things. We have just recently even been selected to join an EU program to bring in diverse different products. So we are being sponsored to do that, which is an amazing achievement for us. It's a great start to the year, and we want to be able to launch in different markets, the USA, the EU. But the main thing is that we want to be a brand that is respected in terms of when it comes to sustainability and healthy products as well.
Giuseppe, I just want to thank you for sharing your story and thank you for being a guest on this podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Debbie, and it was a pleasure. I love the conversation with you, and I hope this conversation will inspire the next entrepreneur listening to this.
If you would like further details about Giuseppe and Gusto Snacks, then please follow links in the show notes.